All right, welcome to the deck tech video for the Dino deck. Um, so for Robosaurus here, what do we got going on? It's pretty simple, really. We have our mana base, we have cantrip and or tutor abilities here. We have our token generators. We have two mana fixing artifacts. We have our whackers here to give a haste to our tokens. And here we have our 20 free spells. 1, 2, 3, 4 ornithopters. 1, 2, 3, 4 memnites. 1, 2, 3, 4 baubles. Manamorphose has a mana cost, but it acts as a free spell because it gives you mana back, just like Burning Tree. So, in our dinosaur slot here, we have 7 dinos. We have Thrasta, Tempest Roar, 1, 2, 3 Thrastas, and we have 4 Ancient Imperiosaurs. So, in Dino Whack, which is 8 whack with dinosaurs, the name of the game is to convoke the Imperiosaur and create a 20/20 with trample, ward, and then attack with it and swing in. And the way we get to that is by playing free spells with Storm and or destroying one of these free artifacts, and then paying Gleeful Demolition on ourselves, and then creating tokens that will convoke our Imperiosaur. So ideally you have 7 tokens with 2 green mana producing tokens to convoke in that color. So ideally then you'll get a 20/20. And even better, with Reckless Bushwhacker, all of your creatures have haste, so you can invoke it right away without having to leave your tokens on the battlefield. You get the idea. Very fun, very quick. Storm players rejoice. It is a pretty decently viable Storm deck. So, that being said, let's get her back together here a little bit and go over to the Dexplanation section where you'll see like really in-depth talks about all these decks. So, talk a little bit about sideboarding in a second here. So why do we have this? Look at these abundant harvests. Now, in some iterations of this deck, you'll see people just running 17 lands. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 we run. So, with abundant harvest, we are neither going to get too many lands. If we have 18 lands, I found that I was getting lands when I didn't need them. And I wasn't using abundant harvest, so I tried 17 lands with no abundant harvest, and I'd sometimes not get lands, and missing a land drop in a deck like this is just terrible. So 16 lands with abundant harvest. That's the route you want to go. Just like with the fetch, so we have 6 fetch lands, right? And our fetching this number of fetch lands, 5. So we're definitely going to be able to get what we need. And then for fast lands, we have these 3 Copperline Gorges in the Carplusian Forest, which I cannot stress enough. I love this card in a deck like this. It's a budget card. It comes right in. You can use it. Deals 1 damage to you. Oh well, right? So mana base is pretty straightforward. And what's neat about this mana base is you can go ahead and play 4 Carplusians. You can play 4 Copperlines. You can play 2 Stomping Grounds. You could go like this and have some forests. And you could forego these fetch lands. Or maybe just play 1 or 2. And it'd bring the price of the deck down so much. So when you go to Moxfield, look at how cheaply you could have it if you subtract the mana base from the cost of the deck. So that being said, where is our dinos? Where are you? Where's our Imperiosaur? Anyhow, there it is. All right. So, I just got to point this out. I love the way these dinosaurs are standing. It's so funny. And look at the tree. Whatever that is. Is that pieces of something? Yeah, it must be. Okay, but something about these just go good together. I just like the way they look together. Very cool. But this is our game plan. We want to get these out. So with Thrasta, if you're just running Imperiosaur with that 8 whack add a Dino thing, which is cool, I'm not knocking it, but I just thought, you know what, we can do a little better, I think, or even a little different. I don't even want to say better, I want to say different. So with all that free stuff we're playing, right? How can we exploit that? So Throsta ended up in here because of this free stuff. So with Throsta, you play Ornithopter. Say you play a Bauble. Where do we have here? And a Manamorphose. So right there, you played 4 spells. That's going to cover right here, more than enough to cover that. And then you just have 2 green left over, which you can say 2 green with Manamorphose. And that'll pay for Throsta. So really, it's kind of counterintuitive, in my opinion, to run a deck like this without at least 2 Throstas. Just because, like another route I tried, why I think of it before I forget. Let me see if I have the card up here. I was just messing with it. I was talking about it, and of course I don't. Murphy's Law, right? The Scrap Titan. It's a card, it is a 6/4, and it has a 6 mana cost, but you can sacrifice 3 artifacts and you can play it for free, essentially, with the artifacts paying the mana cost. So I tried a few of those in here, but that was counterintuitive. I found just doing more artifacts. In addition, I ran Scale Up in here to try to get a 6/4 and hit one of these with a Scale Up and send it in. But that was counterintuitive as well. We just want to get the dinos out there. We want to get a big army of these hasty squirrels and goblins to get in there. But our main goal is just to summon and convoke these dinosaurs. So we really went all in with that. And that's what this deck is. All this is Dino Hunt 2.0, man. So that's the name of the game. And I know this sounds like a pretty quick deck video. The deck explanation one will be a lot better and more in depth. But there's really not too much to do, like deck tech wise here. The game plan, I think we'll have a lot of fun gold fishing this deck, I'll tell you that much. I'm really looking forward to that. But speaking on the sideboard, I guess we can bring that up. So yeah, you'll find you'll need some tokens for this one. However, in the sideboard we run an extra Kildatha to throw that in there. We have the Pithing Needles, which I talked about when I showed the deck. This we need. We're going to either run no Pithing Needles in the main deck, or we're going to run 3 Pithing Needles in the main deck. Because if we're running them, we need them. We have a good reason for putting them in there. And I'm sure you can think of plenty of good reasons to have one of these in a main deck. Especially this day and age in Modern. So, Lightning Bolt, just run 2 of these. It's 6 damage to our opponent. It's 6 damage we can deliver to creatures. Just there if we're getting bullied by creatures. Weather the Storm as well. Generally, okay, let's show you here. So if I'm going to sideboard Lightning Bolt, Weather the Storm is going to go with it generally. Similarly, like Destructive Revelry, Blood Moon, and Tormod's Crypt, often sideboarded together. Similarly, like this, if it's like a graveyard situation, the Blood Moon really does good work in this deck. It's one of those in the sideboard. It's like you don't even know it's there until you need it. So I actually run Alpine Moon now in my Red Prowess. Well, I should say Red Prowess with green. I have a mono Red Prowess that I actually run 2 Blood Moons in. But the Alpine Moon with that lower casting cost, Alpine Moon in here would be good too. But I like Blood Moon a little better. So I may try, you may see that Alpine Moon comes in here in place of Blood Moon. Similarly, in Red-Green Prowess, you may see the Blood Moon go into there and then Alpine Moon move around. Just as I try different things. Because you really got to keep changing up your decks. I mean, you can't say, oh, my sideboard is good, I got everything. Because sometimes, as things change, obviously you change it up. But even going from different games to games, it's good to switch your mana base. You want to have a good efficient mana base, but switch your fetch lands up. Don't let people get used to what you're playing. But really, yeah, the deck tech of this, you can mulligan to 5. Um, wouldn't go beyond that, and you shouldn't have to mulligan to 5 with this mana base because you're almost always going to have at least one green producing land. I mean, you will have a green producing land in your hand, and as long as you have an abundant harvest in one land, you should be good. Um, Also, with mulligans, you can get greedy and mulligan to get one of these dinos. So, why do I only have 3 Thrasta? You guys might say, hey, other people run 4. Well, 3 is the magic number because I played a Thrasta Prowess deck for about 2 years, and 3 is money. That's it. You do not want 4 because when you have 3 Thrastas in hand and 1 more in the deck, that's bad enough. Having 2 in hand with 1 more in your main deck is bad, but having 3 in hand is no good. So that mana base, that creature base right here with our dinos, that is what we want. The lucky 7 right there. There's our 7 dinos. And then like with these, definitely with this free mana, these free things, we are totally all in for just using these to convoke or play like a sweep of them quickly to do Thrasta's thing. But really, there's no reason running that many free spells. There's no reason not to run the 3 Thrastas just as a backup to the Imperiosaur. I'd say the Imperiosaur is our main goal, but Thrasta is great, especially if something bad happens. Like a game I was playing. Here's a good example. I was Pithing Needles. Pithing Needle was used on me against this deck. Okay. And smugly, Jeffrey says, Imperiosaur. I said, okay. So, unfortunately, I didn't have any artifact hate. I'd spent a few Gleeful Demolitions. I was hoping to top deck one, but I didn't. But guess what I did top deck? I top decked a Thrasta. I had some free mana in hand, played Thrasta, and it became an insurmountable problem for my opponent. So yeah, 3 Thrastas in here. I would say don't just add Imperiosaur to 8-whack. Do the Thrasta route. And I would say too with Koldatha and Gleeful Demolition, I never run more than 5 of these in a deck. And I really, unless, this isn't a mono red deck and it's pretty green heavy, so Bushwhacker's great. 8-whack, use both of them. In this deck, this isn't 8-whack. So do not watch this deck tech and take your 8-whack and add dinosaurs to it and say, hey, I'm going to add Abundant Harvest to my 8-whack. I'm going to take 8-whack and add a couple of these to it. Do not do that because it won't work out too good. This deck is specially tuned to do things with Thrasta and the mana base, essentially, like the added green. Where 8-whack doesn't have as much green. I've seen some 8-whack that just has a little bit of green, and some with no green at all. Very little green. And with this, you got a bit of green. You're going to want 2 green, so it's green with red. This is not red with green. So again, I cannot stress enough. And the Blood Moons, you're going to be getting green mana with Manamorphose. So you always want to say 2 green 90% of the time with Manamorphose. We're going to be cycling through. We got card draw happening. And really, one way of looking at Abundant Harvest, right? This is a way to seek up rudimentally a land if we need it, or one of our dinos. So as we're going through, we say non-land. You can't say creature type, obviously. It'd be great if you could say creature, land, artifact. Imagine Abundant Harvest then. But it's kind of like a spinning of the wheel. But a lot of times I've ended up with one of these dinos, man. So most of the time, even a dinosaur. Not some of the time, even a dinosaur. Most of the time. So where are we at? About 15 minutes? Yeah, I want to do the deck explanation where I can explain in depth these things, but this is just the deck tech to show what we're trying to do. Very simple. Very similar line to an 8-whack, but Storm, essentially. We're using Storm. just wanting to flood things out very quickly with our dinos. So that's what we're doing here, and I cannot wait to goldfish these. We can almost make a fun game just trying to hunt these dinos down in goldfishing. So we will do that, and we're going to have some matchups coming very soon with this, hopefully. And today, tune in later for a few more videos going up of Modern Fight Club. So thanks for tuning in. The deck description, I'll I'm sorry. I will put the link to the deck in Moxfield right down there, man, in the description. So thanks for joining me. We're at about 15, and yeah, I'd like to do more of this in the deck explanation, but this is just the deck tech video. We showed the deck, so we're trying to create like more content for people to pour over and more in-depth things. So that's what this is. All we have here is what we're trying to do with the deck. So on the next video, go to the deck explanation section, and then you'll see really in depth why we play this, that, and the other, a sideboard guide, things like that. So thanks again, and go ahead and make this budget and let me know how it works out. I bet it'll work out good.